Once again, this is a life cast of President 41 Bush and Barbara, and this is a life cast of Gussie Bush at Bush Stadium. We have all the Bushes here together.
And what are you doing this afternoon?
We're working on Prescott Bush for the Wounded Warrior Wing in Washington, a three-dimensional portrait in the round for President 41's father, President 43, who's George W.'s grandfather. Oh. And it's a life portrait from photographs. It's a three-dimensional piece.
Can we see that piece right now?
Sure. Bonnie's working on part of the clay presentation. We're just still in the development of the piece. And we're probably 80% there right now. We're presenting Prescott in a tuxedo because I really liked this shot of him here. But the reason I'm also putting him in a tuxedo is because right now my composition is so vertical, even though we're going to do some cutting away on it, I wanted a horizontal here to balance the strong vertical. Put your backside to the camera.
How long does a piece like this take you to finish from start to finish?
This one's going to be a year. Normally I ask for a year and a half, but the time on this, the dedication is coming up April 1st, so we've got a lot to do. We're still not quite there yet because I want to cut it up and do a little component of the composition, but at least we're getting the base close. This is a very strong horizontal, which we have to have with this vertical to complement it. Too much straight there. It's going to be pretty cool. But see, I'm thinking what I'm going to do the solid cutaway. So I'm thinking we're going to take, once you get this side in here, I think what we're going to do is come in and cut everything up to the collar. I'm going to break it up a little bit.
And then after you're done with this, you'll cast a mold?
Winston Churchill, 1946 Iron Curtain speech, Fulton, Missouri. We depicted him warning the world about the Iron Curtain, which is, how do you say, a timeless comment. Even though when he made it, he was really outspoken, and a lot of people gave him trouble for that because he was warning everyone about the communist state taking over, and he got a lot of flack about that, but he was far ahead of his time. Nobody wanted to think about that because in 1946 we just got over World War. Here's Churchill talking about, okay everybody, don't let your guard down, we got another problem. He got so much flack from that.
So where is this piece now?
Fulton, Missouri, in front of the National Museum here in Missouri. And the composition is with all the microphones and Wandering Jew leaves, which were actually at the plant that was around his podium at the time in 1946. Actually, there's three reliefs represented here in my piece. The leaves are full relief, along with the tie. Full relief is it's three-dimensional. The microphones are the second highest relief, which is mezzo. And the portrait and the chest is all bas-relief, low relief. So we're taking advantage of all three types.
And the hand is all the way in the round.
The hand is also in close, pretty much full relief, yeah. But it's actually, if you start realizing, the whole piece with everything there is less than a foot in depth. Because it's relief, and you can see how the leaves are used as full relief. They're actually full carved leaves. But the leaves were important because it's part of the statement at the time that, you know, look at how World War disrupted humanity, knocking people out of their homes, knocking people out of life. And as they call this plant, Purple Heart, common name, Wandering Jew, seemed most appropriate that we kept it there. The microphones, we sculpted from original microphones we got out of the Microphone Museum in Milwaukee, and I had at least 6 specialists in horticulture make sure to correct me that if I was wrong, that was Wandering Jew, and they all agreed. I like the pieces to be historically important, but a current statement in my style, which is I call component parts. Parts of the body are gone. The negative space is as important as the positive space. And realism and abstraction, when you're dealing with shape, we're really dealing with the same thing. It's just recognizable shape or unrecognizable shape. So I deal with a pure abstract shape the same way that we do the figure.
Which is why, who's coming by this afternoon?
William Bush, the youngest of the Bush clan, President 41's youngest brother.
And he's coming by to help influence the...
I want him to see the portrait of his father, and he's been here once before. He's coming back again in a couple weeks, but we're getting to the end, and I want him to say, did we capture your dad or not?
Right.
See, you know what you're doing when you're doing this? Bushwhacking.
So this is at Bush Stadium. Oh, I'll be darned, yeah.
It's been there for a long time. It's gate 2. But this is the original plaster. This is Mary Wiedenbaum instructing. He's now at Washington University. He was the economic advisor for the Bush and Reagan era in Washington. Brilliant man, good friend. This is the finished clay. We've already cast it. Now what we're doing is we sent the original bronze to Nevada where the mint is, and they're reducing it so that it can be made into a metal like this over here. This is the original of Des and Marianne Lee that was reduced for Missouri University for the Philanthropic Award for Missouri University. There's again the Churchill compositions. That's a model, the maquette.
So, Don, would you say that you specialize in the reliefs? Is that your favorite style of sculpture?
I like reliefs. They're hard to do, but I like it because we can do a lot with it. That's Edwina Sandys. She's the granddaughter of Churchill. So that was the unveiling day. That's one of Edwina's pieces. She's very good. Churchill was a great painter. And look at that, isn't that a nice piece?
Beautiful.
I like that. That's a print of one of Edwina's works. She's quite a fine artist. This is the one in Clayton and Buzz Westfall. It's really important, even though I'm primarily a portrait artist, that the composition works. So this is stainless steel and black granite. So the composition and the mounting and everything is really just as important as the portrait itself. Every piece to it is important. It's dusty.
So this is the plaster mold?
That is the original clay.
This is the clay. So it's just dried clay?
No, this is an oil clay. The oil clay stays soft. I use oil clay on the bas-reliefs and generally water clay like on Prescott on the three-dimensional.
Oil clay on the reliefs. Okay. And those stay wet?
Oil clay you soften it by heating it.
I see.
Water clay you soften it with water.
Okay.
So it's hard to keep a relief like that if you're doing it. I've done them in water clay. It's just hard to keep them wet.
Right.
They'll dry out and crap and fall off the board.
Oh, I see.
So this is another piece of Gussie Bush. This is at the Missouri wetlands out in Nevada, Missouri. Four Rivers wetlands for the Conservation Department. That's Gussie Bush when he was 34 years old. So they handed me a photograph of Gussie with a cigar in his hand, holding a shotgun and a sack of dead ducks. I just find that interesting on how we're,
Yes.
showing that he's protecting the wetlands. My biggest sculpture, One Wiegand Drive. 50 years I've created this space. Trees, environment, the building, shape, all in one.
And that's where we're at right now.
In One Wiegand Drive.